Hello, my name is Matt Tones. I'm a Senior Application Engineer at Garlock Sealing Technologies, and today's webinar is going to focus on a new product called GYLON EPIX. It's our next generation in PTFE gasketing materials, and we will basically focus on some of the features and attributes of the materials, as well as some other information specific to the performance characteristics of the material. So before we get started in that direction, though, we would like to take a little bit of time to talk about some of the background. We did extensive research to find out the common issues seen by customers in the field in order to design the product to resolve some of those issues for customers. One of the biggest misconceptions that we encounter when talking with engineers and reliability engineers in the field is that thicker gaskets are better when used in flat surfaces. But in reality, adding a thicker gasket to a flange connection makes the gasket's pressure resistance drop drastically. Typically, when we think about pressure in a pipeline, it's typically expressed in PSI, or pounds per square inch. So the thicker a gasket is, at the ID of the gasket, you're exposing more square inches of the material to the system pressure. So having thicker gaskets creates more outward force on the gasket, which has a tendency to lower the pressure resistance. So here's a application guidance. One of the questions we get in engineering pretty frequently is, where can I use this material, or where should I focus on using this material? And that's a very good question. And the simple answer is any place that traditional GYLON materials are currently being used, 3500, 3504, 3510, such as raised face, flanges, 150, 300 pound class, heat exchangers. Again, you want to pay attention to those rib widths. You want to be half of an inch or more. Reactors. PTFE gaskets are used in these pretty frequently because of chemical resistance requirements. We are also underway working with a lot of our end users at chemical plants to add our material to specifications. So there'll be more to come on that going forward. So here's some areas where there is some questionability as far as how well the material would work. With any gasketing material, when it's newly developed, there's always ongoing research in trying to understand where the product can and can't be used. So some of the areas we are still looking at is non-metallic piping. Since non-metallic piping is becoming pretty significant throughout all industries today, I will tell you this: if you look at the right-hand side, this is a FRP flange, fiber reinforced plastic. This particular flange, we have a 6-inch 150 in our facility downstairs in our test labs, and we've had great success with the EPIX material used in this flange. Keep in mind, this particular surface, if you look closely, is basically it's flat all the way across. On the left-hand side, you'll see a PVC or CPVC flange. These are a little more intricate as far as the design and the variability in design from one manufacturer to the other. We do not typically see as much success with these because the raised ridges that are put on these flange faces typically are very pronounced and can kind of impact the ability of the product's ability to conform around those surfaces. We're also working more to better understand its capabilities in metallic flat face flanges, and research is still ongoing there. We also are working on lined flanges. So many customers that handle chemicals have either some kind of a polymer line, whether it's a PTFE, Kynar, PVDF, different types of liners out there. We are continuing to research and test to determine the suitability of the EPIX material there. So more will be coming from that down the road. Food service. So the 3500, 3504, 3510 EPIX materials, they are all constructed of the exact same materials as the traditional legacy GYLON 3500, 3504, and 3510. The materials of construction would and do pass FDA testing because they do not extract anything more or anything less than what is typically found through the traditional products, which are FDA compliant. However, the hexagonal pattern on the surface can potentially leave open voids to the process stream. So our approach at this point in time is full disclosure to our customers. If you have a customer who's a food manufacturer, beverage manufacturer, or services where they're dealing with worried about contamination in the process, our stance and our belief is that we tell customers straight up, explain to them the pattern surfaces on the product and that they could become entrapment points. Now, that being said, we have had both reactions. We've had some customers that have said they can't use it because of that. We've also had several customers that have said that's not an issue for them because there's many more points of potential contamination, and the fact that the GYLON material is totally inorganic and it will not support bacterial growth is basically good enough for them. Oxygen service gaskets is a common question as well. At this point in time, the EPIX material is not available for oxygen service cleaned. And that is because cleaning inside of each one of those patterns would be a very, very tedious process and really not cost effective. So at this point in time, if you have oxygen service customers needing oxygen service gaskets, stick with the traditional legacy materials. Welded gaskets. If you have a customer that purchases large welded gaskets because they're larger than the 60 by 60 inch sheets of material, those particular customers will have to continue to use the legacy material. Again, we're researching this and developing new methods to deal with this particular approach. But for right now, welded gaskets still have to be the legacy GYLON product. Now, we have researched and done testing to confirm that the new EPIX GYLON material is very good for dovetailed gaskets. In fact, the dovetailed EPIX gaskets that we tested were performed better in terms of sealability than the traditional legacy. And that, what I mean by that is they sealed at lower stresses than the traditional legacy GYLON materials. So if you do have the large diameter gaskets, we can dovetail the EPIX material for that particular need. So that concludes our webinar for today. If you do have any questions about what was presented, you can feel free to call me. My name again is Matt Tones. I'm a Senior Application Engineer at Garlock Sealing Technologies. Our 1-800 number is shown on the screen. You can also contact the Garlock Technical Support line at 315-597-7350. And I thank you and have a good day. Bye-bye.